Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sapphire Lady, also known as Margaret. Anyhow, I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time. I actually have my vlogging camera here, and I was attempting to film it on there, but alas, here we are. So, um, the subject of this video is top 10 tips for transitioning into natural hair. So, this video should be um, fast and simple. So to give a little bit of history about myself, I've been natural for the last decade on and off. I've shaved my head 4 times. I'm actually getting ready to do so again for the summer just because it's easier. And I never, shaved my head for fashion or for fad. It wasn't a big chop. It was just something that I wanted to do. But each time that I shaved my head, I learned something new in the process of the hair regrowing, so on and so forth. So hopefully you find these tips useful. The very first tip is to simply make a decision. Trust me, the first time that I decided to, oh, and before I go on, I don't want to conflate being natural with the big chop. One doesn't have to do the big chop to be natural. However, that was one of the paths that I took. So of course, you'll hear me mention that. But anyhow, the first thing is to simply make a decision. Once you make that decision to go en naturel, then you're going to start thinking about, oh my goodness, what type of products do I want to use? You'll start researching YouTubers at that point, probably who have a similar hair texture and that type of thing. It's a good way to sort of prepare mentally and emotionally before you take that step. Secondly, pick a time frame and have an intermediary period. So this is my favorite part. Honestly, there are a lot of reasons why someone may not decide to go natural immediately. Perhaps, you're getting married and you just don't want to have to deal with the mystery of how your hair is going to be at that time, or you're interviewing for a job, or you don't live in the what you would deem as the appropriate or the right climate. Um, and there's so many reasons, or perhaps you're having a baby and it's easier for you at that point simply because you have not yet learned or mastered your natural hair. Um, to simply wait. So pick a time frame. That time frame might be immediately, it might be 1 to 3 months, it might be 6 to 12 months, it might be 1.5 to 2 years. However, the point is that during this time, you can correct any pre-existing hair issues. For instance, one of the issues that I always had, I had really beautiful, really thick hair. I could straighten it, I could cover up my flaws. However, um, I definitely had some issues with the hairline for a long time. And so that was something that I definitely had to address. And down the road, I'll do a video regarding that. But it's important um, to give yourself the time that you need. Because natural hair, it's amazing, it's wonderful, but it does reveal all of your flaws. So if your hair is unhealthy, whether it's dietary, whether it's scalp, whatever it is, it's going to show. So give yourself that time, make a decision, pick a time frame, and then have that intermediary period. Intermediary, rather. Third tip is to simply pick a plan. Listen, guys, one size does not fit all, okay? There are tons of ways that one can transition to natural. For a lot of people, they do the big chop. For other people, they may have permed or processed hair and then they decide, okay, I don't know how I accidentally stopped recording. But anyhow, they might have permed or processed hair, and first they flat iron their hair and then they go natural. Other people, they might, sort of start playing with their natural hair on the weekends or during the summer, especially if, they have flat iron hair or hair that's not fully processed. The fourth tip is to simply accept and embrace your natural hair texture. You guys, our hair is so beautiful as a people, and we've been told for so long that there's something wrong with it. And so some people, I hear comments that they don't like the way that their hair looks, or that they want it to look like someone else's hair. Well, that's not going to work. If you're going to be a natural, embrace your natural texture for what it is. Don't try to make it look like someone else's. Just sort of give yourself away to that process, and you know, sort of discover all of those things that your natural hair has to offer. Because some of us, I know I had a friend when I was in grad school, I ended up shaving her head for her. And she had said to me during one of the times I had shaved my head, "Hey, Max, I think it's so cool that your hair can be this tiny and then it can be that, and it can be much longer," because she would see me, or I would blow dry it out. And I said, "Honey, you realize that you have the exact same hair?" And she said, no, she didn't know, because for her entire life since she was a girl, it's sort of a rites of passage in some communities to start perming the hair, flat ironing the hair, and then we don't really understand the true, nature of our natural hair, or how it works. And so just embrace your hair for what it's worth, and don't overly manipulate it. But I'll get into that in a moment. Let me see. Proper diet. Fifth tip, you guys. Proper nutrition, as you know, including hydration, um, and sufficient nutrition, and plenty of rest. And living a stress-free life is so important. Um, that's just something that's going to help you along the way, emotionally and spiritually. And seriously, I really think that that journey to being natural is about a lot more than hair. It's about, making one's way back to themselves. And so definitely, absolutely, focus on proper diet, but not just, what you're consuming in terms of what you're eating, but, spiritually, emotionally, take that time for a life revamp. And I see a lot of people do that as well, and I think it's great. Something else is sleep on a silk or a satin pillowcase. Now, this is something that's been passed along from generation to generation. Silk or satin. Why? Because it's softer. It helps the hair to not tangle as much, and it also helps to move the natural greases along. So, I mean, sleep on a silk or satin pillowcase, and it's amazing for your skin, and it feels amazing and luxurious. So that's, something. I think it's something good. Now, and it also helps to minimize split ends and that sort of thing. Next, 7, manipulate hair less and maintain a healthy scalp. Guys, there are so many ways that we can damage your hair. In this day and age, I hear a lot about protective styling. Back when we just called it, braids or however. But sometimes protective styling can put too much pressure on the hair, especially if you have shorter hair. Just let your hair be, guys. And that goes back to the not trying to make your hair look like someone else's, or um, just let it be. Let it breathe so that it can be healthy. And the scalp, I cannot stress how much scalp health is so important. I've noticed, as I was in the process of healing, my own, or what I thought was my hairline, that the scalp health is even more important, because you need oxygen for those blood vessels. And when the scalp is healed, then the natural oils flow properly, and you'll see the optimal hair texture come out. And so the less that you manipulate the hair, the less that you pull it, the less pressure that you're putting on your hair. Then it says here, well, this is something that I wrote. I'm just going to read it because my mind is whoosh. But anyway, it says as you transition, um, wearing tight buns or wearing ponies less and less in order to help minimize the pulling and to help heal the broken capillaries, damaged arteries, and damaged scalp is simply useful. It also says, or you may simply choose the route of shaving your head. You know what? This is actually interesting because shaving your head, a lot of people don't want to do it, but shaving is kind of like renewal. It sort of resets everything. And so when you're picking a plan, you might decide to just shave your head and grow back and let your hair grow back immediately. Or you might decide to keep it shorter for some time. And actually, it's really healing to the scalp because you're absorbing all those nutrients from the sun. And even when you get in the shower, it's so therapeutic because just to feel that water just beating on the scalp. And it's something as women we don't often experience because most of us have hair our entire lives. Um, but the point is that maintaining the scalp, yes, is highly therapeutic, and a way to do that is by less manipulation and just less pulling. I remember when I was growing up, there was a woman who went to my church in one of my hometowns, and she had been braiding her hair so much and they had pulled it so much that she had blood underneath the scalp. And the thing about it is, it takes time to heal everything. So if you've been spending years damaging your hair, um, well, then it's going to take some time to repair it before you really even see the full potential or capacity of what your natural hair has to offer. Um, ah, and so, just, and it says here, oh, and the most important thing is to condition, guys. When we have straightened hair, we don't focus on conditioning our hair in a certain way. Some people even stay away from moisturizing. Um, but it's the opposite with the natural hair. So you sort of have to reprogram and reset your mentality or your mindset because the hair needs moisture. So remember that condition, condition, condition. Um, 8, your hair, your decision. So this is something that's important. A lot of people don't understand that even if you're just flat ironing your hair, going back and forth between flat ironing and natural, even that has an effect on the hair. Now, it's not as big of an effect as, if you were like putting chemicals in your hair or that type of thing, but it does still affect it. I remember the last time I shaved my head, I had shaved it fully 3 times. And then the fourth time, I had a hawk. I had shaved the sides and the back, and then I had this part in the front, and I had started straightening that a lot, and it looked really cool, and I enjoyed it. But something that I noticed when I shaved my head is that I had a bunch of extra skin hair, literally like because this part of my head I normally didn't straighten as much, so it wasn't getting as much heat. When you are straightening your hair, the heat damage alone from straightening, from blow drying, causes a tremendous amount of stress on the head simply because it's not the natural form that your hair has been in. And so when you're taking it constantly out of that natural form, that's where a lot of the issues actually come in. I know that something that I learned was every single time that I would straighten my hair again after I had shaved it, after from the first time that I would straighten it, the texture would never be the same as how it was um, there had never been any heat. So it takes some time when you continue to do that back and forth, even for the texture to normalize. And so a lot of people don't realize that it's not actually until they've been natural for quite some time and not straightening their hair. And the last time that I just shaved my head, it's been about just under 2 years that I haven't straightened it. And I wish the lighting was better in here, maybe on the next video. I'll use my camera, but the actual texture is coming in much stronger. And And that's simply because I haven't been applying heat. But like seriously, guys, I just woke up one day and I wanted to look like myself, meet myself, and I didn't want to do all of that anymore. I've spent so many times in and out of shops straightening my hair, paying to straighten my hair, straightening my own hair, and I don't want to do that anymore. So yeah, it is your decision, but just know that if you want to optimize, um, you know, your potential for healthy, optimally healthy hair and healthy scalp and all of that, then going back and forth with the straightening, even if it's flat iron, yes, that does change the texture of your hair. But then that's why that intermediary period that I spoke of in the beginning is so important because, um, like I said, you're not just revamping your hair. It's a life reset. And so it's just, it's your decision, but just know. The ninth thing is just to enjoy the journey. Once you made the decision, you can sit back, you can begin to plan, you can decide the path that you like to take in transitioning into natural hair. And to be honest, most of the people who have transitioned into natural hair, I don't know any of them who regretted it. It's so incredible. And sometimes you might go back and forth for some time. I'm going back and forth, um, between flat ironing and natural and so on and so forth, all for a long time, until it was just like, I don't want to do that anymore, not for now. And so, just enjoy the journey. Also, something I want to know: the first time that I straightened my hair after I had shaved it the first time, I missed my natural hair texture so much. So it really does suit us once we're actually accustomed to it. And natural hair, it may not be for everyone, but I think that as a people, and especially as a woman, we should definitely know how to at least take care of our natural hair. I think that's important. And the last tip is simply to forget about your hair. Um, Enjoy your transitioning time, enjoy all of that. Sometimes hair can be so stressful for women wanting to, have that perfect mane and not knowing, um, not even not knowing, but just wanting to have that perfect mane and just getting to that point where we're confident and we love it and so on and so forth. So make your decisions, do your preparations, and then just sit back, enjoy the process, and don't be overly stressed. Just let it flow. And um, that's very useful. So, anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed these tips for transitioning to natural hair. Top 10 tips. I found them most useful because a lot of things I always say, um, that every war is first, it's one we have to conquer it in our mind. And so making that decision, setting a time frame, having that intermediary period, not trying to make your hair look like someone else's, and enjoying that process, and just, healthy diet, healthy life, spiritually, getting enough rest. So pillowcase, all of those things, they're so useful. So, yeah, I mean, hey, I hope this was useful to you. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm Satin Lady. Stay cool. Bye. Also, guys, a simple note regarding picking a plan, and that is, you might decide to shave your head. You might um, decide to grow your hair out, grow some out, cut some off. You might decide to just grow it out until an acceptable length and then cut the rest off. But either way, there's several ways that one can go about, or you might decide to transition from perm to, or relax to flat ironing to, sorry, I'm gonna snot, to natural. So anyhow, there's several ways it can be done.